Hello again, you're welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, I'm a third-year medical student of the University of Ibadan. I believe by now you've seen your JAM results, and lately one of the most frequent questions I get asked is, with my JAM score, what are my chances of getting admission into this particular university for this particular course? So in today's video, I'm going to be explaining how exactly you can know what your chances are. And also very importantly, I'll be giving you tips on how to increase your chances of gaining admission by making the smartest decision. And also common mistakes that candidates make each year that make them lose their admission. This video is going to be quite detailed and long, so I'm going to be putting the timestamp in the description below so you can skip around if you don't want to watch the whole video. Let me start with the general admission process in Nigeria. Let me explain how admission process generally works. The admission process is quite similar if you compare different universities, even polytechnic and college of education, but there are some specific differences in these universities' admission processes. But in this video, I'm going to be giving you like a general overview and also cite some of the most popular universities. But in subsequent videos, I'm going to be inviting students from different universities who have done extremely well in their post-UME to share their experience on how to pass the university post-UME, on things you need to know, important things you need to know about the university. If you want me to do for your own university first, you can put it in the comment section. Let's see, the highest vote for the university is going to be interviewed first. In Nigeria, to gain admission, there are majorly 3 exams you need. The first is your O-level, the second is your UTME, and the third is your post-UME. Okay, let's start with the O-level. O-level can be WAEC, GC, NECO, and so on. The requirement is to have at least 5 credits in your relevant subject. For example, if you are choosing medicine, to study medicine in any school in Nigeria, you must have at least credit in English, math, biology, physics, and chemistry. But some universities, they actually give mark to the O-level, to the WAEC or to the GC, whatever you are using. And the more A's you have, the better your chances of getting admission. While some universities don't give any mark to O-level. Okay, let me give a specific example so you understand what I'm saying. Lagos State University, LASU, they've always awarded 50% to WAEC, to O-level results, but then 50% from JAM. That is what you need to gain admission into LASU. So someone that has A1 in the 5 relevant subjects already has 50% of the total mark required to gain admission into the university. In UI do not consider your O-level at all. Once you have made at least C in your 5 relevant subjects, that's all. Someone that got A1 and someone that got C6 parallel, they both have the same chances of gaining admission in university like UI. So there are other universities that do consider O-level and there are some that do not consider O-level. So these are some things you need to know about your school of choice. And the last thing universities consider is the post-UME. Not all universities actually do post-UME, but most do. So your post-UME is going to be in form of an exam. So don't think JAM is the last exam you are writing. You are still going to write another one, which is the post-UME. Now you must know what format the post-UME exam is. Hopefully, by the time I'm inviting people, we are going to talk about these things. But there are different ways you can as well know by joining Facebook groups of the school you are aspiring. Please join them. You get so much information from the group because you meet students from the school there and you also meet fellow aspirants. The mode of exam differs. For example, in UI, you are going to be writing the exact combination you wrote in JAM. So for a medical aspirant, you write biology, physics, chemistry, and English. But for someone who chose Unilag, whether you are a law aspirant or a medical aspirant or economics aspirant, all of you are going to be writing similar exam. You'll be writing math, English, and general knowledge. Know this so you know exactly what you want to prepare for. The next I want to talk about is cutoff mark. This is something that is usually highly confused by students. I've asked some students, what did you score in JAM? The person could be like, I scored 198, but that's not a problem because my university cutoff mark is 190. Passing the cutoff mark does not guarantee your chances of gaining admission. So let me explain what cutoff mark is. So there are actually 3 cutoff marks you will hear of. There's the JAM cutoff mark, there is the general school cutoff mark, and there is the departmental cutoff mark. JAM cutoff mark is something you can ignore because is usually the lowest. You will see JAMB cutoff mark for federal universities as 120, but the reality is that every universities are at the liberty to choose any mark they like as the cutoff mark, only that it must not be below that JAMB cutoff mark. So just forget JAMB cutoff mark, because most university cutoff mark is usually higher than the JAMB cutoff mark. Now let's talk about the general university cutoff mark. So for different universities, they always have different cutoff mark, but generally the commonest cutoff mark is 180 for most state universities and even federal universities. And there are some big head universities, that set their cutoff mark as 200. Now, what exactly does this general cutoff mark mean? It means that, okay, let me use you as a case study. It means that someone who scored 199.999, if that's possible, in JAMB cannot even pick UI post-UME form, talk more of writing the post-UME, talk more of gaining admission. Do you understand that? So if you do not get up to the cutoff mark, you cannot even smell the school at all. You cannot apply for the school or anything at all. Like, that's the end. But on the other hand, someone that scored 300 in JAMB, there's still no guarantee that the person is going to gain admission into UI for medicine. There are other criteria that need to be met. Your 300, whatever score you have, does not guarantee you admission in most universities, because there are other factors to consider, which lead us to the third one, which is the departmental cutoff mark. And this is like the most important and is the thing that eventually determines whether you're going to gain admission or not. Let's talk about how do universities set departmental cutoff mark. They set departmental cutoff mark based on the general performance of students that year. There was a year 2016, I remember generally students performed poorly in JAMB that year, and it reflected in most universities' cutoff mark. Most of the universities, their cutoff mark dropped for almost all courses. So let me explain how exactly universities set cutoff mark. So one very important thing you need to know is that there is something called quota. Every university has a quota for each course in that university. Quota means the highest amount of students that can be admitted for a particular course. So University of Ibadan quota for medicine is usually about 150. So 150 students can be admitted for medicine. 5,000 students picked UI post-UME form and they applied for the post-UME. They wrote the post-UME exam. After writing this post-UME exam, UI will mark it, and after marking it, then they will do aggregation of their score. Every university, different universities have different grading system. Some consider O level, as I've said before, some don't. UI, for example, doesn't. So in UI, they give 50% to JAMB and 50% to the post-UME. So UI then calculate the aggregate of all the students, of all the 5,000 students. After calculating the aggregate, they are going to arrange the students from the top to the bottom, from the highest to the lowest. They are going to pick only the top 150 students. So after arranging the 5,000 students from top to bottom, then they will pick the best 150 students, and the 158th students, that number 150 students, his aggregate will be the cutoff mark. Let's say that guy scored 77.5. 77.5 is going to be the cutoff mark for medicine in UI that year. So that means that someone who scored 77.49, which is not up to 77.5, right? The person is not going to be admitted, and you can see the person will be like, oh, UI did not admit me because of 0.01 mark. That's not actually true. UI did not admit you because you are not among the top 150 students. So if you look at it, it seems like, or actually, getting admission process is a competition. Universities select the best students before they consider the rest. So that's why if you've written your JAMB and you perform very well, or you have an average score or low score, know that the struggle has not ended. You need to prepare even harder for your post-UME. Start early. You should make research about what your post-UME exam will be like and start preparing for it as early as you can. Don't relent yet. Talking about studying, let me take a moment to announce something I've been very, very excited to announce. I'll be launching my first course on the 30th of next month. And in the course, I'll be teaching you how to study effectively and how to improve your learning abilities. I believe that everybody has the ability to improve on themselves. They have the ability to improve their abilities. There's no denying of the fact that intelligence is gotten from the gene. But also, if you can put in conscious effort. Anyone has the ability to improve on themselves and become better students, and this is exactly what this course is going to be about. I'll be sharing the study strategies I personally use in medical school. I'll be sharing other things I've learned from researching on this topic for up to like 3 years now, and also I'll be giving you tips on how to avoid procrastination, how to stay motivated, and how to make yourself to always put the right amount of work to succeed academically. So this course costs 5,000 naira only, but I'm pre-selling the course because it's not yet available. If you are buying the course between now and 28th of this month, you're going to be buying it for just 2,000 naira only instead of the original naira. So I believe this is going to be a very good investment of your money and time if you're interested. So if you're interested, use the link in the description below to visit the page where you can pay for the course, and you're going to be alerted on the launch date of the course. Alright, let's go back to the video. Now the next thing I want to talk about is with your JAMB score, how do you know your chances of gaining admission? First of all is research, and the second is analyze. Know about the university you are choosing, their mode of conducting their admission, the way they grade their cutoff mark, and so on. You know, some universities consider O-level, some don't. Unilag, for example, gives 50% to JAMB, 20% to O-level, and 30% to post-UME. UNN, for example, gives a whole of 60% to JAMB and 40% to post-UME. So all these things are things you should know. You should also know like the last 3 departmental cutoff mark for the course you are choosing. If you look at the past 3 years, this is going to give you an indication of what this year cutoff mark is likely to be. Remember, I've said before that departmental cutoff mark is usually not determined until after exam. The cutoff mark is always revolving around the same area, unless students do extremely well in that year or they do extremely poor in that year. Now let's analyze for a student that chose medicine in UI. He scored 270 over 400 in JAMB. Now let's look at the past 3 cutoff mark for UI. The last admission it was 76.25. The previous one it was 78.875, and the previous one before them was 76.5. Let's estimate what this year's cutoff mark is likely to be. To be on the safer side, we can assume, let's put the cutoff mark for this year to be like 79. It may be lower, it may be higher, but let's say 79. Remember that this person scored 270. Using UI grading system, let's divide 270 by 8. That's 33.75. If the departmental cutoff mark for medicine in UI this year is 79, so 79 minus 33.75 equals to 45.25. 45.25 times 2, that's 90.5, approximately 91. It means that this particular student, for him to have chances of gaining admission in UI, he has to score 91 in his post-UME, or let's say from 89 to like 91 to be on the safer side. Now ask yourself, is it possible? Can I actually score this high in the post-UME exam? When you answer this question sincerely, you will know your chances. You know your chances of gaining admission in that school. You can do this for every university. Just know the grading system, know the recent cutoff mark, and try to analyze it the same way I've analyzed for UI. There are some students whose chances are low but did extremely well in the post-UME and eventually gained admission. Recently, one of my classmates was telling me the highest post-UME scorer in my set. Her JAMB score was low and she had very little chances of gaining admission, but because of that she studied very hard and she eventually outperformed every other person and gained admission. But this is not always happening. Let me just be sincere with you, because other students, you know, it is a competition. Put that at the back of your mind. And students that did very well, that scored very high, like 300 in JAMB, most of them will not relent. Now let's talk about common reasons why students fail to gain admission. Number one is not making right decision. There's something I've not mentioned since, and I feel is very important. It is about merit, catchments, and ELDS. If you've seen them publish cutoff mark for different universities, you must have seen that there are like 3 different cutoff marks. You see one under merit, you see another one under catchments, you see another one under ELDS. What does this mean? Let's start with merit. So merit is usually higher than the other 2. So merit means the score above which you will be admitted regardless of your state of origin or wherever you come from in Nigeria. If you pass the merit cutoff mark, I mean the departmental cutoff mark, now you'll be admitted no matter what. Now let's talk about catchment. Universities usually consider some people over others based on their state of origin. For example, Unilag catchment area is Lagos, Ogun State, probably Osun State and some other states. It means that if you are from any of these states, your own cutoff mark will be lower. So people from this state have higher chances of gaining admission than other people. The last one is ELDS. ELDS means educationally less developed states. University also always consider ELDS. Most northern states fall under ELDS, so their cutoff mark is usually lower. Also, very important thing to know is that state universities, they always consider their indigene first. They consider their indigene a lot. All those things are things you also need to consider. Make the smart decision. If you notice your chances are low in the university you've chosen, try to make the smart decision by changing your course to a lesser course in the same university, or changing your university totally. Another common reason why students fail to gain admission is to start preparing early. Like in my videos, I'm always emphasizing on the need to prepare as early as you can for exam. Early preparation prevents poor performance. So as soon as you know what exam you'll be writing, start preparing for the exam. And the last reason why students fail to gain admission is using the wrong material to prepare. You must know the university very well and know what the exam is like, and then get the material, get past questions. I believe that's the end of this video. My throat is already sore from talking too much. Okay, let me just remind you once again about the course. If you are interested in taking the course, just use the link in the description below and buy it for 2,000 instead of 5,000. You can save the remaining 3,000 to do something else for yourself. So that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.